And let some folks come in. Still won't be starting for another minute or so here as we let everyone join. Welcome in. We'll just be another minute while everyone gets settled. And I will load up our presentation here. And we'll get started at 3 o'clock on the dot. Hope you're all excited. All right. And we'll begin in just a second. So welcome in, everyone. Get comfy. Let me know if my audio is all right for everyone as well. All right. So welcome in to Marketing 101, what I like to call here becoming a marketing wizard. So I hope you're excited here. We'll get rolling. All right, so just to get started here, what are we going to be covering today? So first of all, of course, the problem with marketing. A little bit about us here at Binox, as well as our MSP, Motiva. That's where I primarily help out. What a good marketing campaign looks like. And then going into the actual design work of Binox, but creating your templates, crafting your automations, and of course, your path to marketing success. So I'm just going to talk briefly a little bit about myself. My name is Megan. I'm the marketing manager here at Motiva Networks, which is the MSP side of our business alongside Binox. So I came from running my own business for the last 12 years. I did not have a marketing background whatsoever. And just like you, as a fellow MSP, I had to learn being an MSP from the ground up. I worked very closely with Walter. He's been in the industry for around 25 years or so now. And so I've been learning a lot from him. But I did also have to go to a variety of classes and programs for marketing. I'm sure some of you out there probably took some classes with me at some point. But all in all, the entire reason why we made Binox is because of the issues that we were facing on our MSP side ourselves. I felt very frustrated trying to use a lot of these programs, a lot of these things that were marketed to us. And all in all, we weren't seeing the results that we wanted to achieve with our MSP. So who are you? Well, you're an MSP, right? So that's why you're here. Together you're just getting started, or you're really looking to launch some growth and opportunity in this coming year. And just like us, you probably need some assistance figuring out marketing. All right. So these problems, the ones that you have are the ones that we did have here at our MSP. So, for example, that we were using complex CRM systems. They were pretty difficult to learn, pretty confusing. I went to a bunch of these classes where I myself was, one of, if not the youngest person in the room. And we were all struggling to figure out how any of this stuff worked that they were trying to get us to use. Couldn't really add leads, couldn't really get the campaign set up, even with guidance. All in all, it wasn't a particularly good experience for us, right? And on top of that, then there was the lack of follow-up. It was really great to be able to send out emails, and start the process of marketing and get in front of leads, but it was really hard to remember to make the calls, to keep on top of schedules, to keep on top of tasks, right? And I think the icing on the cake, as probably many of you know, is that a lot of these programs that we were using were expensive. Not only were they expensive, but we had to keep going back to training to figure out how to use them. All right. So I'm just going to go over real briefly a little bit about our own path here as an MSP, and this might relate to some of you out there, right? So in the beginning, we didn't have an industry, right? We were targeting everyone. We didn't have a sales plan, and Walter at the time was a one-man band. We didn't have us here helping him, right? And then slowly, we're hiring our first technicians, dropping off mailers, figuring out our ICP, our ideal client profile. I'll go over that with you guys in a little bit on a further slide. But figuring that out was really important to discovering where we wanted to go with our marketing and what we needed to do. So then we were actually finally doing some really good marketing campaigns. We were joining these marketing groups. We were getting involved with the MSP community more, but we were still having a lot of trouble and struggling in terms of what we were actually getting in terms of our leads. They were pretty bad at the time. And around this time, around the 2018, 2019 mark, is when we decided that we were kind of sick of using all these programs that didn't work, and we were going to build our own. So this is what Binox was before it became Binox now. It was an in-house solution. We were being a little selfish, trying to find something that would work for us, right? So this is where we started actually executing the campaigns, and then we were able to actually see the results from that as we moved into 2020 and beyond. So what is the problem with marketing for MSPs? Right? Sure, many of you have a guess, but we'll take it from the top here. That the main problem with MSPs is that we're all sold this idea of what success looks like, right? What a successful marketing campaign looks like. And, who is the one really selling this to us, right? So they're typically companies, typically like marketing firms, right? They're not MSPs. They're not selling managed service agreements. But what I'm going to be going over for you guys here is showing you what consistently works for us, right? So like what we're doing at our own MSP, what I'm doing myself. And we're in one of the toughest markets in the country. So we're out of New York. There's a lot of laws and guidance here for our industry. But through this process that we built and put together inside of Binox for you, this is the process that we have used to grow year over year 40% in the last 3 years. So this is what we're doing. We do this in-house every day. So this is us coming to you from what we have experience with. The other thing as well is being hyper focused on the idea that it has to be like only cybersecurity, right? So I feel like a lot of this guidance that we were being given and sold on in terms of what to do with marketing, how to present ourselves, how to speak to potential clients, typically was cybersecurity focused. But what was actually happening that I found out through talking to a few of these clients and going to some of these appointments with Walter was that we would go to them and we would get a client who would be very interested, and they would say, hey, we love you. We love what you're doing. We definitely need cybersecurity, but actually, what we really need is somebody who does IT services. And we realized that we were so heavy in marketing cybersecurity that the clients, these prospective clients, thought that was all we did. And so that was sort of like throwing us kind of under the bus in terms of trying to get clients who misinterpreted what we were trying to market ourselves to. The other thing here is, I think the number one thing we hear from MSPs on the Binox side here, we do an average of probably 20, 25 interviews from other MSPs weekly here at Binox, and the number one has to be this: is that I just don't know where to start, right? So this could be, I don't have an ICP, right? So what the heck is an ICP anyways, right? So that is your ideal client profile. That is going to be your niche, right? So, in this case, again, the number one thing is I'm just serving everyone. I don't need a niche. I'm just going to go after anybody and everybody, right? And I don't have any sales or marketing experience, right? Like, you guys came into being MSPs because you're techs and you like helping people and you like computers and closing tickets and doing all that good stuff. But without sales and marketing, where are the clients going to be coming from, right? So again, this is how we started, right? We didn't have an ICP, we didn't have a niche, we didn't know what we were doing, and so then we will tell you sort of again our path on how to get started and really build out. The other thing, I think this is the second most thing that we hear a lot is the list I purchased sucks. I don't know if that resonates with any of you guys, but it sure does here. We spent a lot of time, effort, and money cleaning and buying and cleaning leads from lists that were pretty bad. If you're using things, maybe Seamless, InfoUSA of the world, that in the end, if you don't have your ICP and you don't have good data from those platforms, then that's time and money wasted, right? And I'm not sure how many MSPs are able to pay $20,000 a year in some of these platforms that I've seen charging, which was a big shock to me coming into the marketing world of MSPs. But I mean, I would really hope that would be exceptionally good data at the end of the day, right? But usually it's outdated, right? Some of this data, you don't have good phone numbers, you don't have good emails, you don't have good contact information. The CEO isn't the CEO anymore. None of these people are interested, right? They're not your ICP. They're not even nearby, right? And they're probably all random industries as well. The other thing here that we hear a lot is, feeling like you need an expert to actually have success with your marketing campaigns. All right. So when I came to Motiva, again, I didn't have a marketing background. I barely had a sales background, right? Everything I did at the time was self-taught. Coming in and having to learn all of these new things, learn all of these new programs, I felt very like overwhelmed and frustrated. And it felt like, I mean, Walter can definitely tell you better than me, but I had a lot of self-doubt when I started because I felt that I needed to essentially pay somebody else to do my job for me. And that was hard, right? Like, I should be able to do these things as the marketing manager coming in. I should be able to have the tools at my disposal to be able to do my job, right? And I feel like that's something that a lot of other MSPs that I've spoken to myself, or that Walter has spoken to himself, is that they feel that they're just not able to actually own their own stuff, right? That everything is difficult to use, and that they were spending a lot of extra time and money sitting in classes to not really feel like they got anywhere, right? So being able to own that and have that power back in your own hands will be huge in terms of what you are doing and what you are creating with your marketing. So let's talk about what doesn't work in marketing. I'm sure some of you have some guesses. How about word of mouth, right? So word of mouth might be great for referrals, right? I'm sure a lot of us get customers through referrals, of course, but it's not a consistent method of marketing, right? So, in sales and marketing, there's no business in the world that relies solely on word of mouth, right? And neither should you, and neither should I, right? So you need to be able to take advantage of those and be able to take advantage of the ones you get, but you shouldn't be relying on them because it's not consistent, right? So, and again, even if you come in here, it's not going to necessarily be sustainable. It's not going to necessarily be even an industry that you want to serve or that you do serve, right? Paid advertising. This is huge. So coming in, especially as a younger person in marketing, I feel like things like Google Ads, Google pay-per-click, that's really pushed as like what you should be doing for marketing. Again, other MSPs that we interview with Binox, you could be spending three, four, $5,000 a month on Google AdWords. Like it's real easy to spend $2,000, $3,000 on Google AdWords. And in the end, what do you get out of it? I don't think I've heard a single person say that they even got one lead out of it. Um, Usually it's people who are price shopping, or who people maybe need a break fix. My laptop won't connect to the Wi-Fi, right? So it's not necessarily people who are going to be managed service clients, right? And the other thing is traditional advertisement. So I don't know if you guys want to guess my age, but I don't think I've picked up a magazine myself in the last ever. Maybe maybe it was like Nat Geo Kids, right? But you know, it's kind of the same thing with Google Ads, right? That you're sort of blasting your message out into the world, but it's not targeted, right? It's not necessarily targeted. It's not necessarily being read by the people that you want it to be read by, or read at all. And again, it's expensive. So a lot of this traditional advertising, in terms of like our markets, this is not something that our MSPs should be doing in terms of marketing, because there are things that work much better, right? So let's talk about that. Let's talk about what actually works in marketing. Now, these are things that we do again here at our MSP side. So these are things that we have found work really well when combined. First one here, direct mail. I love direct mail, period. I love direct mail. Direct mail is how we start all of our campaigns here. So I'm going to show you actually a little bit how you can launch a postcard or a letter campaign directly through Binox with just a couple of clicks. So we'll get to that in a little bit. But I actually have a sample postcard here. Let me make sure that you guys can see this. Oh, my background. If I hold it like this. um, so this is just one of the examples of the postcards here, double-sided, glossy. We put a QR code. We have a big call to action and an offer. I love these. Actually, fun fact, if any of you read the Wall Street Journal, there was actually an article that was put out like a week or so ago that direct mail has a 42% open rate over email, which only had like a 2 or 3% open rate. And that's actually, especially with younger generations like mine, in the millennials, if you guys, anybody else out there is a millennial, I'm a millennial, that we typically save these and don't throw them away, which is true. I have a stack of these. I've got like a bunch of paper on my desk. And we save those more than email, right? So like me personally, I go into my email every day and I'm like, oh, I click, 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 delete. I don't actually go in and read any of this stuff. And so having something that comes to you physically in the mail is a much better way to get in front of your customer, right? It's also a good excuse to follow up, right? Like, hey, I sent you a letter in the mail. Did you get it? Right? Great excuse for a phone call. Educational marketing. If you're not doing this, you should be. So again, this is your emails, right? But this is not just your typical email blast, right? This is your educational, timely emails that are going out for things that are occurring in the industry that you are serving, right? So for us at our MSP, we specifically serve independent insurance agencies. So things that I see out there between cyber and IT and insurance world, if it's relevant to our customers and I write up something, I write up a blog or a newsletter, or an educational piece, something that they need to know, that's what goes out as part of our educational marketing. And you can tie that in with your direct mail as well. I think that one of the main things that we see, again, tying back to what I was saying before, is that a lot of MSPs are sending stuff about cybersecurity, breaches, fines, laws, all that stuff. And you're like, oh, I'm going to really get in front of this customer and I'm really going to scare them into becoming a customer with me, because look how I can look what I found and look what I can save you from, right? But I don't know anybody who buys like that. and that might be why you're having poor results. That was at a point where we were having poor results, and we made a change away from that. And so I highly encourage doing more educational marketing. And lastly, this is obviously the most important part of this whole thing, the follow up, right? If you don't have a person doing your follow ups from your really good educational marketing, your really good direct mail piece, it's a waste of money, right? So, no one's just going to pick up your postcard or your letter and they're going to be like, "Oh yeah, let me go ahead and become a customer," right? Let me, I don't know, an average managed service agreement deal, right? So maybe like $2,000 a month, right? Like I'm not going to pay Mr. MSP $2,000 a month just because I scanned this code on this postcard one time, right? They want to speak to you first, right? They want to get to know you. You want to get to know them, right? Like you want to make sure that this client is going to be a good serviceable client for you, and they want to make sure that you, of course, are going to be able to protect them and serve them well, and that they like you, that the relationship is going to flourish on both sides, right? But at the end of the day, that's going to come down to appointment setting, making sure that you can do the phone calls. I think that there's like maybe like a misconception that it takes a lot of time. um Honestly, if you it, have like 30 minutes or an hour to make like 20, 30 phone calls a day, that's already going to set you way ahead. um, if you don't have 30 minutes or an hour a day to do this, then that's a bigger problem with time that you might have to solve, right? So I highly encourage, this is our little trifecta that we do here, but we're going to break it down for you as well. What does a good marketing campaign look like? Well, I will show you. So don't be scared. I know it looks like a lot, but I am going to actually break it down into 3 sections for you. It'll be smaller, it'll be bigger, it'll be a little bit easier to read. But this is what we do ourselves here at our MSP. So this is exactly what we do. We do this for every campaign. Um, don't be scared, Alan. So we'll break this down for you. But yeah, this is an overview. You can feel free to take a screenshot here if you would like. And then I will move on to the breakdown. All right. I can go back if anybody needs, but everything here starts with your list. Your list is the most important part of beginning your marketing journey. Um, you want to make sure that you have a good list. You want to make sure you have good leads. You want to make sure that they're qualified for you, for the industry that you want to serve, your ideal client profile, right? And if it's not, throw it away. You don't want to waste your time and energy and money and all that stuff on people who are not going to actually meet with you, who are not going to close with you, and who are not going to pay you for your services, right? So here is a sample that we put together. This is actually the ICP that we use ourselves. So this is also a really good template. If you want to screenshot it, use this to build one for yourselves, for your own industry. But when we were deciding our ICP, we needed to figure out, who am I going to be marketing to, right? So in our case here, I'll break it down. In terms of independent insurance agencies, they are typically older men, right? Usually either the original owner, or it might be like the son of the owner who inherited it. Maybe they grew up working with their father, right? They typically have a family, and they want to continue to grow their business, right? They have a really good book of business. They want to get new customers. And in our case here in the state of New York, they also have to comply with cybersecurity regulations within our state. Some of the frustrations that they might be having is that they might have a current IT provider. In some cases, they don't have one at all, but they don't have somebody who understands how their business works. They don't have somebody who understands insurance, who understands the programs that they're using, their agency management software, and they might not necessarily understand how to get them within cybersecurity compliance for the state as well, right? So when you build these, this is what you want to spend a good amount of time on. You don't want to rush through this process, because this is your bread and butter for your foundation of the house of marketing you're going to build on top of it. So let's talk about how Binox helps you find your ideal client. So if you actually go inside of Binox here, you can go ahead and search in your leads as broken down as you really want to in terms of your ICP. So in this case here, for this example, we're looking at a zip code that is here by our office in Garden City, New York. So it's 11530. We're looking at a 10-mile radius or so, and we're also looking in construction. So in this case here, we can go ahead and see that 1,295 leads show up. Now these leads are within our area. They're directly within our office. I mean, heck, they're pretty much walkable, right? And then they are also in the industry that we want. And from there, we can continue to break down to, oh, I want to see only if they have, um, a certain amount of employee size, right? And I want to find here's the president of the association. Here's John Fallon. This is the guy who I want to send marketing to, right? So you want to make sure that you're sending your marketing to a relevant person. Is it going to be the CEO? Is it going to be the CTO? Is it going to be an influencer within the company? That's something you have to decide through your ICP. Now, this here is the middle of the blueprint. This is your golden campaign. This is where all that bread and butter funnels down into, right? So when your campaign starts, again, what we do here at Motiva is every campaign starts with a direct mail piece. So it could be a postcard or it could be a letter. That's going to go out first. And in an appropriate amount of time, when that gets sent out through USPS, typically first class mail in USPS is like 5 to 7 days. It can be a little bit longer depending on if it's a weekend or not. So mail appropriately. But once that goes out, you want to also prepare your emails. Your emails should be tailored to fit the same message that you sent out in your direct mail piece. And as you're sending out your emails as well, you're going to be following up on the phone calls. So essentially what happens in this part is your direct mail piece hits the desk. And at the same time, they get an email, maybe at the same day that they get the postcard. And they go, oh, I recognize that name. I recognize that company name. I see that here and here. And maybe the next day they get a phone call from someone in your office. Hi, this is so-and-so calling from MSP, right? And so you continue to sort of rinse and repeat this process of having your name in front of them in multiple places at the same time. And that builds you up in their brain, in their head of oh, okay, I keep seeing them, I keep hearing about them, I keep seeing their message, reading their message, understanding what they're doing more and more. Let's have that meeting, right? And that's the goal, is actually having the follow-up to success, right? So you're booking, you're having your consultation calls with them, right? So you might not necessarily want to jump straight into a conversion. You definitely want to at least talk to them, figure out what their needs are, figure out what their latent needs are, maybe the needs that they don't necessarily know that they have, right? So this comes from asking really good questions, sort of digging for information from them, right? That might be something that you want your appointment setter to do if you have one, or that you would do is if you make your calls, and then decide whether or not that they're going to continue to move through your flow, whether or not you're going to actually bring them into an interview and into an assessment, assessing maybe a risk assessment or a technology audit to see what they need that they don't know about, and then doing that readout to them. Now, if they don't convert, whether it's not the right time, it's the holiday season, I can't make a change right now, right? You want to move them through the automations and snooze them so that in 3 months, 6 months, whenever they say, or whenever you feel it's an appropriate time, typically we say at least 3 months, that they come back into your pipeline and you try again. Otherwise, if again they're not a fit, they're not a good use of your time, they're not going to become a client, then you remove them out of your pipeline and you remove that time and energy and money out so it doesn't get wasted. So Binox itself makes marketing campaigns easier with automation. So this is something that we've really been working on a lot on the back end, something that I've been helping with a lot from my experience working with marketing, other platforms and such, to build something essentially that's incredibly easy to use. Right. So this would be from creating your templates. This would be your email templates that you'd be able to use, or your email blasts, creating your automation campaigns with steps and actionable items. So that way that you can set it and forget it like an easy bake oven. Um, and as well, defining your campaign overall for what you want it to do for you, right? Like what sort of results do you want? Do you want all of your clients to do a TBR, a technology business review? Do you want X amount of new clients in X amount of time? Do you want them to read your email? Do you want them to click on a button? Do you want them to visit your website, right? So that's all things that you want to define when you build these. So being able to build these inside of our campaign builder, we call them smart campaigns, is that they're easy to use, drag and drop. You can use the ones that we already have pre-made. There are a few in there that you can use without having to build anything. But you can just jump in and use those, use the predefined campaigns, or you can build them as complex as you want to be. I'm not going to go too far into this right now, but if you'd like, we can always set up a one-on-one meeting where I can go more in depth in this as well. I will show a little bit about it in a minute though. But essentially being able to go in and decide how you want it to be built, right? So here's an example from our email builder. Everything here is drag and drop. Everything is customizable. It's brandable. You can choose all of your colors, set up your buttons and your action items, and also check as well whether or not how it would look on desktop or mobile. And then when you actually go into your campaigns, this is where the magic happens, right? So you bring in your hashtags. So, oh, hey, I have these clients here. I have people who showed up to a demo and they didn't actually show, right? They registered, but they didn't show. And I also have these leads lists for New York insurance, right? But I want to send both of them this campaign. Totally fine. We're going to go ahead and get them in here. I'm going to give them a condition that 2 days from now, I want to send an email blast, right? And you can send them whatever you would like. Again, it's totally customizable. In this case, we sent out this information to the New York area for DFS, right? The Department of Financial Services. That's the cybersecurity regulation that's here in the state of New York. And so we were promoting doing this webinar. And from here, you can use these results that you found. So I'll go back real quick. You can use the statistics from who got the email, who opened the email, who clicked on the email, links inside. And if you have multiple emails here, you can see it in the middle. This is actually 4 emails that was here. You can click on each of these and see the individual statistics. But you can use these statistics now to then follow up on those people. So you can see who opened it, who clicked on it. All right, cool. So anybody who clicked on it, I'm going to go ahead and auto trigger them into a campaign, right? And that campaign is going to be something like an additional offer, an additional follow-up for an assessment, an additional, hey, I want to talk to you about more about DFS, right? And that's how you start narrowing down your pipeline for people who are interested. Now, this is something I'm really excited about, but I hope you guys are as well. So what if you could easily send direct mail with the push of a button? All right, so as I showed you before with our postcards, I'll show it again real quick here if you are just joining us. This is just an example one. But we're super big on direct mail here. I love direct mail. I love these postcards. Being able to send tangible stuff as part of your automation is what we've been working on for a while. And we're really excited to be launching this. It's not launched yet, but it is going to be launched very soon. But essentially what we would be able to do here is, in terms of our automations, add them in. So this actually is part of our designer for a letter. So you'll be able to go in, again, drag and drop, customize the text, customize the color, and how you want it to look. And this would be a trifold letter that would get put into an envelope and mailed. You would be able to add them into your automations. So I want to have these demo no-shows, or I want to have these New York insurance folks, I'm going to send them a direct mail piece. And maybe it's cybersecurity themed because we were talking about cybersecurity to them. Or maybe it's a special offer to do the risk assessment, or maybe it's a special offer to get cybersecurity compliant. It's timely and it's related to what we've been sending to them already. And again, you can choose things such as your postcards. You can build these as templates, so they're as easy as just making a couple of clicks and adding them in. All you have to do is build them once or add them once. And then it'll actually be able to be placed as an order through the platform. You'll be able to see how many recipients as well as what your total is. And then that would, of course, go out and you'd be able to see the tracking on those and get that information. And then again, continuing the follow up. So, for example, I'll go back, but at the end here, so if we put in direct mail, I might put in an opportunity at the end. So anybody who received a direct mail piece, I'm now going to move them through Binox into an opportunity stage where I'm going to give them a phone call, give them a personalized email follow up, right? And continue to build on that relationship with them. So we're really excited to launch that. When that actually does get launched, you'll have the notification in Binox as a pop-up as well. So I really hope that this was interesting for everyone here. We are going to be doing more of these classes, more in-depth overviews as well as we go. So we actually do have, again, thank you for coming. We do have a special offer for everyone who wants to become a marketing wizard and continuing on your journey here. We're going to be doing a 3-week Binox marketing bootcamp. So we'll be diving a little bit deeper in. We'll be going more into Binox itself and in doing these campaigns and building these out with you. This starts in January, January 15th, so 1 month from today. And you can just send us an email if you would like to get started. So again, that would get you that blueprint that I was showing you. That would get you more of an in-depth demo with the marketing campaign setup, some one-on-one sessions with myself and Walter, direct mail preparation and getting that launched for you as well. And again, tracking and reading your results and progressing all in all with your marketing journey. So thank you all, everybody, for being here. If you do have any questions, you can just drop them in the chat and we'll stay for just a few minutes and I'll go over those. But yeah, no, thank you so much for coming. Let me know if there's anything I can answer for you today. And again, if you can always reach out to us at any time via marketing@binoxmsp.com. And again, if you do also want to do any additional sessions, any one-on-ones, again, that's the email to reach out to us about. I will, there I am. I'll jump in here. I'm not seeing any come up yet. I'll stay for a few more minutes, but thank you again for joining. Oh, hello, Kobe. Nice to see you. Hope you enjoyed the presentation. And we will have a copy of this as well. Hi, Kobe. We will have a copy of the video as well. So if you missed part of it, if you came in a bit late, or if you just need a review, again, send an email over and we'll help you out. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Matt, for being here. Appreciate your kind words. I'm glad that it was insightful. Glad that I'm able to help out all the time. Again, I'm usually on the MSP side of things, but I'm part of the team that's helping to develop the marketing side of Binox. So I appreciate having this opportunity to talk to everyone today and helping out on your marketing journeys as well. So I hope I can make things a little bit less confusing and give you a little bit of guidance. Thank you, Brett. Brent, thank you, Richard. Appreciate you being here. All right. So I will wrap up here for today. Again, any questions, Anything that you need help with at any time, you can feel free to reach out to us at marketing@binoxmsp.com. Thank you so much for being here. Can't wait to talk to you again.